Yep, we're recording. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. This is the August 25th meeting of the Charter Review Committee's Feedback Subcommittee. Everybody hear and be heard? Bernie,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Marcus?
Yes.
Great. Do we have minutes to review this time around?
No.
Okay. Who's the minute taker for this time? Who did it? Marcus, you did it. I think I did it before that.
I owe one set, so I don't know
So
if
it's
we're
gotta be
going
me.
around.
Yeah, it's me then.
Okay, so Ken for this one. And again, you can get the transcript and use that. Is there any, do we have any participants who would like to have public comment?
No attendees at the moment.
Okay. All right. Then our agenda is basically similar to what we've had before. It's basically to look at the feedback that's come in and continue to work on formatting it in a way that will enable the committee to do some deliberation and some decision making. So I think Bernie did quite a bit of work on the sort of sorting the data that we have in various ways. And I think it might be helpful to walk through some of that.
Well, we have the Framingham format, which is now the Amherst modification of the Framingham format by adding the rationale if provided column, which Andy suggested, and I thought was a pretty good idea because there should be some understanding of why the original charter commission made the decisions it made, and that would be a place to put it. Could also be a place to explain from other things, like one of the rationales could simply be chapter 43.
Right.
So that I think is that is an unfiltered document. I tried to take out all the duplications. I think a couple of them have snuck in still. There's at least one spelling error that I tried to find and couldn't find a fix. So I don't know if we want to fall through that and then strike what, some obvious stuff that maybe shouldn't go to the whole committee. The
other thing you did, which I thought was actually maybe a preliminary step, but I think it's interesting, was the deduplicated list, and that was AI assisted, I guess.
Yep.
But you basically asked it, and I'm sharing it now, that you asked it to, deduplicate the master list and with article references included. So this is a pretty compact list. And I assume this is then what you've put into that chart, the Framingham type chart.
No, I took all of the entries that Ken had prepared and loaded them into the Framingham chart.
Ah, okay.
Dropping the duplicates. So where that becomes most obvious is in the discussion of the Article 2 legislative branch. Some stuff shows up that's really in Section 5 that you won't find in Section 5 because it was duplicated there. The deduplication with the thing that I use ChatGTP for, I haven't crosswalked that with the spreadsheet, simply because I didn't know what we were going to, if we were going to kick items out or give this whole thing to give this to the committee as a whole.
Right. Okay, now that I look at it, it looks like these are headings, like voting procedures for Article 2. There are multiple changes within that. So there's
Yeah.
clarified majority vote, there's read at 2 meetings, there's postponement,
Right.
roll call, redundancy. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
a way
like
of grouping.
that's like Cliff Notes for the
Yeah.
spreadsheet.
Okay.
And then
So,
the other thing that I did, which I don't know if we will talk about or not, was to have ChatGTP compare the Amherst Town Charter with Chapter 4, the requirements of Chapter 43, so we could isolate where we differ from the statute because of home rule.
and is that the other Excel document or?
No, that's the other document I sent you. You had sent me back a note saying you thought it was pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, that's a different. So that was not in the 3 that you sent this time.
Right. I mean, somebody, I think it was Erica, said, I don't know where we're different. So that tells us, that gives a good idea of where we're different. And I did read through it, and it seems, based on my reading of chapter 43 and the charter and the CTPG list, seems to be pretty accurate. So
okay, so let's see, I can download that and we can see that as a group also.
I gotta find the.
Hey, Bernie, did you say that you're kind of suggesting using AI or ChatGPT specifically to compare the suggestions with sorry, number 43, I forget what you called it,
Chapter 43.
chapter 43, or sorry, go
I
ahead.
didn't do that. I didn't ask it to take the suggestions and fit it into chapter 43 because there's some gray areas in there, for one. And for two, I really would like to have the spreadsheet sent to Collins and have Collins strike what they feel is inappropriate for inclusion in a charter.
Okay.
That gives us another data point, and I think it's harder to argue with Collins than it is with, oh, he ran this through an AI. I don't know.
Okay, so this is the one you were talking about.
Yeah.
But so this is actually basically just saying the aspects of the charter.
Of the current charter, right?
Of our charter.
Right.
And whether it meets chapter 43.
Well, all of it meets chapter 43. It's
where it goes beyond, right?
Rule, where it deviates from chapter 43 because of home rule. So chapter 43, for example, mandates the number of councilors you can have. We have 13. That's not one of the numbers chapter 43 allows, but we can do that under home rule. And obviously the legislature and the Attorney General didn't have a problem with that.
Right. All right. So I'm just getting up to speed on this. And
this is just sort of an FYI thing for people on the committee.
Yeah, no, I think it's very useful. Yeah. Thank you, Bernie. You're honing your ChatGPT skills.
yes. So then down here, it's where Amherst goes beyond. It's council size, mandatory district meetings and public forums, community participation officer, and diversity hiring mandates. Although, additional elected bodies, expanded budget procedures, independent audit requirement, administrative reorganization process, nonpartisan elections, and expanded public participation tools. So that's helpful to just sort of say how we Amherstized beyond the requirements of the state law. Okay. So then, looking again at what you've done, which one which do you think we should be looking at then? The Word document? No,
Well,
not the Word document, the Excel.
Yeah, I'm thinking we should be looking at the big Excel spreadsheet,
Okay,
the one that we have the rationale column on.
yeah,
What did I gave it some kind of heading, charter review suggestions table.
yeah,
The other stuff I had ChatGTP do was just to give us a thumbnail reference to what's in the of the suggestions, so we have something to refer back to quickly.
yeah.
Rather than have to plow through the spreadsheet each and every time.
So then this basically takes, the what is what was in Ken's last version, right?
Yes.
And then, so we've got what, we've got the where, and we've got the discussion, and then rationale. So
Yeah, discussion
was
is my comments.
your comments, and then rationale is, I was just thinking about, there were some commenters who had specific reasons why they were suggesting this based on experience or whatever.
Mhm.
And, a lot of them come from Mandy Jo's document, but there's others as well. A lot of times people would say a reason for why they were, the league had reasons, a number of people had it. So the rationale is something we could fill in.
Right, but I'd also like to have you and Meg comment as well, because where the committee made some decisions, you folks were part and parcel of it, and you might be able to better explain to the body what was intended.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's in the discussion. It's sort of like, here's why it is the way it is.
Mhm.
And then in the rationale is sort of like rationale for change, maybe, if provided.
Mhm.
Or maybe the headings aren't quite right, but your discussion is basically, the discussion in this case is mostly you're trying to figure out, in some cases, whether it's in sync with the law, or right, or are you just sort of,
Yeah, well, basically what I've done in discussion is I've included where the charter has specific language about it.
all right, okay,
I've included this charter's language, and I've also made some comments about what might be, for example, clarify full town council, particularly when members are absent, have to recuse themselves. Well, the open meeting law, I think, handles that. So I just made a note that the open meeting law handles that. And
open
whether
meeting law
people
specifies what
what a
quorum is, and
yeah, what a quorum is and all that happy stuff. So if people want to have a more explicit definition, then that's fine. But my thing would be that if you're going to use a general law, you shouldn't copy the black letter of the general law into your charter. You should incorporate it by reference.
Right. So that it changes and you can keep up with it. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Otherwise, every time the legislature changes a law, you have to amend your charter.
Right. Yeah.
and it looks like the suggestion was to delete the definition that we had, and and references for a simple majority, or redefine what a full town council is. So if we delete the definition and say, votes will follow open meeting law or something like that, then that would be a change. So that would be in sync with that, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe the next thing to do is to go back to some of the source documents and see if there are rationales and include those in.
The source documents being what?
Well, Mandy Jo's letter, the other letter, blocking on her name, the former counselor who wrote, she wrote a letter. The league had some stuff, some individual commentators
Yeah.
may have explained things
Mhm.
to, to plug those in so people have a fuller understanding of what. I mean, Mandy Jo, I didn't go back to her letter, but Mandy Jo obviously would give us a reason for clarifying the definition of a measure.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though the definition that's in the charter now is pretty is pretty plain vanilla and actually simpler than the dictionary definition. So would want to. I mean, I could start doing some of that. Other people could start doing some of that, plugging that in.
Yeah, apparently, apparently there's been some question about what's a majority, or what do you have to get to pass a measure if not everybody's there. And I guess there was some concern that if a number of counselors weren't present, then a small group of counselors showing up could push something through that wouldn't reflect the majority of the full council.
Mhm.
Open
Andy,
meeting.
if I could jump in here, I think the situation in which this came up was when counselors were abstaining.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if they're abstaining, they're still present and voting.
So the charter defines there are certain votes that require a vote of the full council, so we interpret that as 7. And there are others that are just a vote of the council, and we define that as a majority of members present and voting. So there are 2 different thresholds, and that's it's spelled out a little bit clearer in the council's rules.
Yeah, and is it something we should just let that be in the rules rather than, or the chart? I think we want the charter to sort of.
Well, you can look at it's pretty clear in the rules. There are certain things, and some of the things like you had talked about leaving it with state law. The rules do the same thing, so it'll point at state law rather than spell out the state law.
Yeah.
If there's like a 2/3 vote needed for a zoning change because state law allows a smaller quantum of vote for certain zoning changes. So the rules just say in accordance with state law, things like that.
Yeah.
And then it's more explicit in other ways, like a bylaw change I think it's a bylaw change. There are kind of less important things that are a majority of those present and voting, and more important things that are a majority of those present.
You
Or
mean
vice
the
versa,
majority
I'm
of the
being mixed up.
full?
So if if there's a motion to refer something that requires you could pass that with a smaller number of counselors voting aye than to adopt a measure. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, the easy thing to do, and I think KP Law may actually have this in their files, and they can just pull it out, is a cheat sheet that basically says, if this is the situation, then this is the vote. I would I would float a call over to KP Law and see if they have a handout that defines this stuff, and then it can be referred to, and certainly it can be embedded in the rules, because the rules are easier to change. If the legislature changes their mind about something, the rules are a vote.
But
Right.
that's right, but the rules sometimes demand a higher threshold than what state law demands.
Uh-huh.
So it might not be always the same as what KP Law would say it needs to be.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure why the rules exceed state law.
The rules can't be more permissive than state law, but they can be more restrictive than state
Restricted,
law.
right, but I'm still not sure why that, why that happened.
I see.
Because it's Amherst.
Other than we're Amherst, and we like to do things more difficult. If we can make things more difficult, we will.
No comment.
You know, I just see this, in, you know, there's also a lack of trust, you know, so if we can pull out of the rules a cheat sheet, if you will, that says if this situation occurs, this is the quanta of vote required, this is who votes, this is how we count them, then, or if that's already in the rules. I haven't looked at the rules since I don't know when.
There's a section in the rules that's called number of votes required.
Okay, so I mean, as I was going through the suggestions here, many have nothing to do with that would be embedded in a charter, but many have could get referred back to the rules and say, does the rules cover this? Or if not, can the rules be amended to cover this? Because the rules are the rules, and they're more flexible and they're easier to amend than the charter.
But I think that the charter, having a sense of how voting in the council is going to work, and what a majority means, and what the threshold is for passing measures, seems kind of important.
It
Like,
is, but
it
but
is kind of a charter level thing, I think.
well, if you want to embed it in the charter and it exceeds or has a different requirement than the open meeting law, then yeah, then we've got to go to legislature, we're gonna do all this other stuff to change it. It's easier to have it in the rules.
Yeah, I'm just showing, since Mandy Jo was the one who brought it up. Currently means, this is her concern. Currently means that whether a seat is empty, whether a member is legally required to recuse himself, or is absent, or chooses to abstain, there are a number of votes that require a majority of the full town council. Please revisit this definition and the unintended consequences. The original concern was that a bare majority of members present would, pass. After 5 years of meetings, councilors tend to attend nearly all meetings. Very few meetings have less than 12 or 13 members present. Councilors have regularly voted abstain instead of no, with the knowledge that their abstain effectively counts as a no, but that they didn't have to actually vote no to do so. This has happened repeatedly, especially when councilors didn't want to be seen as opposing something that they really did oppose. The abstain as no allows them to avoid accountability. When a member legally needs to recuse themselves from a vote due to ethics rules, their recusal should not automatically count as a no. But with this definition it does, since the required number of yes votes does not change. Please consider some of the following options. Delete the definition. Delete the phrase affirmative vote of a members present is required to adopt any measure, and replace it with a majority vote is required to adopt any measure. Remove the phrase of the full town council. Delete the third paragraph in section 210 that references voting quantum as it is covered in section 2.6. So there's quite a bit of detail here, but
yeah, there is. And I understand. I'm looking at this now again. I understand where she's going to, but if you say it requires typically a majority is a majority of those present and voting. And saying that you've abstained is, in a sense, a vote. It's not a yes or a no. It's a recusal, but you're still present and you've still made that.
But it counts as a no because you need to get to a certain level of yeses to pass a measure. So they're taking themselves out. It's changing. It keeps the math.
Okay.
That
so does Mandy Jo's suggestion basically neutralize the power that people have by voting or voting abstain.
She says
That
either
would, yeah,
delete the full council definition and adopt a simple majority system, or consider revising the definition to exclude empty seats and exclude a member who has recused themselves from the vote to comply with state law.
Okay, yep. So that would all go into the
And
rationale.
this is one fairly technical, not controversial necessarily decision, and we could spend a half hour on it as a committee.
Yep.
So
It might sound not controversial, but it has been at meetings.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because it affects how what the threshold is for passing something.
Right, and whether a counselor who wants to say no to something gets counted as a no or can abstain from things. We've had counselors abstain from things.
To avoid being blamed for voting no on something.
Right.
So I could abstain from a vote on the library funding or whatever, but that would effectively count as a no because it's not a yes.
Right.
I think if that got rewritten so that if someone abstains, then the quantity of votes changes. So if you have 13 people and 3 abstain, then you need the majority of 10,
So
which is where I think Mandy Joe is coming from.
You need 6 then because you
You
can
need 6, right?
Although, yeah.
And the point that she made about those who are recusing themselves. So normally when someone recuses themselves, they're marked as absent, but when a vote of the full town council is required, an absence essentially counts as a no.
Okay.
Because you still have to have 7 votes.
Correct.
So they could just not show up. Oh, I mean, I guess, yeah, if they're recusing, that's right. All right,
Right.
well, I mean, this is it.
Okay.
So what have the rules of the council dealt with that? Athena?
The rules can't supersede the charter. So if the charter says that it requires a vote of a majority of the full council, it requires 7 votes. So we can't change it to make it so counselors who are recused or absent count in a different way. It still takes 7. And
What's
for
the downside to having to just having a majority vote and excluding people who, I guess, yeah.
You might see more counselors abstaining from things. You might see that happen less, but like I think Mandy mentioned, you could have a lot of counselors abstaining and then something pass with 3 counselors.
Mhm.
That's a majority of those voting.
All right. I guess I don't think we should get too deep in the weeds at
Right.
this point, but it's an example of something that if we're talking about 50 things on, our meeting day, we might get through 5 of them at this rate,
Mm-hmm.
It sounds fairly straightforward, but then in practice it becomes very tricky. So before every council meeting, I write the motion sheet, and for each motion I put the quantum of vote, and I have to check every time because it's different depending on, is it suspending the rules? Is it a measure or not? All those kinds of things. If it's a zoning thing, it needs a different quantum. So it is a little bit more complicated.
Okay, so the definition section, which to me seemed to be pretty straightforward, now that we're having this discussion, isn't pretty straightforward. Athena just mentioned clarifying the definition of clarifying the definition of a measure. I mean, the definition that's in the charter seems to me to be very straightforward. And it's actually more detailed than a dictionary definition. So you know, I don't know why people need to have why people need to know whether something's a measure or not. If you're going to vote on it, it's a measure.
Again, I
It
think
sounds very straightforward and it's so not in practice. We've had debates about whether something is a measure or not.
here's the council has differing views of what a measure is. Just bylaws or other votes to adopt things taken, including resolutions, proclamations, citations, policies, regulations, changes to public way, financial orders, etc. Are motions to amend or refer measures. What about procedural motions such as recess, adjourn, reconsider?
So in practice, we've treated bylaws, resolutions, proclamations, citations, policies, regulations, all of these things as measures. Motions to amend, not a measure, or refer is not considered a measure. Procedural motions are not considered a measure.
But is
So-
it something that could be dealt with in the rules? Like stripped out of the charter to pushed into the rules?
So I'm not suggesting that you take the definition of a measure out of the charter, but it might help to clarify defining it better so that it's, you know, so it says bylaws, policies, and other things adopted or whatever the language is. But you might add not procedural motions such as motions to amend or refer. Or you could say that a motion to amend needs the same quantum of vote as the motion to adopt the thing, which is a funny thing that we've gotten into before. So a motion to amend a zoning bylaw requires a lower voting threshold than a motion to adopt the zoning bylaw. So a smaller number of councilors could amend a zoning bylaw and then and then it requires a 2/3 vote to adopt the zoning bylaw. We got into these tricky situations.
Okay.
Athena, are you going to be able to join us for our marathon session? I'm sure that sounds like how you want to spend your Saturday, but you do have a lot of internal experience with this.
I haven't been asked to do much.
Do you want to be asked?
I was really excited to work with this committee when it was first formed, and I haven't been asked for a lot of input, so I felt like I was chastised at the very beginning for offering too much, and so I'm trying to toe the line between butting in too much and
Well,
offering input when it's needed.
You have a subcommittee asking.
But as a clerk of the council, you do have knowledge of the types of challenges that have emerged over these different types of things. Maybe just for the first part of it, where we're talking about definitions or something. I don't know.
Well, there may be more. I mean, I don't know if you've had the opportunity to review this spreadsheet with all the suggestions on it. And jot comments on it or flag things where it would be helpful to have, if not to comment on everything, because it could take an immense amount of time, but to flag areas where there's been substantial conflict on the part of the council. So that we have to be careful and more refined in our discussion of those things.
I think
so I'm asking for help.
I think there are a few things that we've received as comments that would be really helpful to have staff input about. Their financial procedures. It would be really great to have someone from the finance department look at some of those changes and things like that. So I'm hoping at some point relevant staff members are formally asked to do that.
Yeah, well, that would be another thing that we could do with this, is to hand it off to department heads that seem to be might likely be involved with this, mean, one of the concerns I had is the lame duck period. That seems pretty simple, rather than have all the 6 or 8 weeks or whatever, is just drop it to 3. But Chapter 43 requires a budget to be produced and presented to the council in X number of days from when they're seated. So if we're seating the council 6 weeks earlier, that basically impacts on the budget process by 6 weeks, at least to my understanding. So that's, I'm hoping that Sean is back in time to comment on that. I don't know if anyone who's currently on staff would be willing to take a look at that. I don't know. But we do have to get some input from the people who live with this.
So I guess I want to, yes, I agree, but I'm just trying to figure out how we get to the next stage of, what do we need to get to in order to give people the opportunity to give feedback? What's the format? Is it the kind of thing that, I mean, we just looked at, the spreadsheet that you prepared, Bernie, and then we looked at, a couple of the details of some of the stuff Mandy Jo was suggesting, and how do we educate the group, and how do we educate ourselves? How do we frame it in a way that we can that we can forward things to the council that are thoughtful.
Yeah.
We don't have to make the decisions on this. Luckily, it's the council. It's up to the council to decide. But it would be good if we had a sense of what we're putting forward is useful for them to make that decision.
If I can
Mm-hmm.
speak to that, Andy, I think that the time that staff spend on things like this, I'm thinking to the solar bylaw that we've spent, 2 years on that is moving very slowly, and we have multiple staff members at CRC meetings advising on this, and so I'm just, our time is precious, and it would be really helpful if the committee had a smaller list of changes that it's considering that would then go to staff for input, rather than absolutely every idea that has come to the committee. That would be my suggestion, so that staff time is being used more efficiently.
So there might be some of the more technical ones, or some of the like the finance ones, or the definitional ones, but even, I mean, some of the ones in the legislative branch are about, their values questions. They're not really technical, but the finance certainly is technical.
But at some point, the full committee is going to decide which of the feedback they've heard the committee wants to forward or wants to consider as changes. At this point, it's a big pile of changes. So
right.
Once that list is a little bit more honed down, then you can decide which changes you want to hear something about.
So then going forward, it's a winnowing task.
Well, we need to, and this will probably be more difficult than, we need to start pulling stuff out of here that doesn't rise to the level of being included in the charter. We also need to go through some of these, and where, some areas where I'm fuzzy. If we increase or decrease the number of counselors, it's not a simple, I don't think that's a simple legislative change. I think that would require a new charter commission. So that's something that Collins
Need to identify. Yeah.
can identify. So
Mhm.
that's stuff, if something requires a new charter commission, we shouldn't be debating it. We should just say this is something people suggested and it requires a new charter commission and move on.
That goes back to what you were saying though earlier. There's stuff in there that doesn't belong in a charter or whatever. It's the
Right.
same. It's the same as the stuff that needs a charter commission, right? I think we don't need to just discard it. I think we collate it in a separate bucket.
Hmm.
Like, hey, council, people have thought about this for the rules or for some other thing, but just collate it so that we don't lose it. And then, yeah, I think we have another bucket that's, charter commission required, and just throw stuff in there, and maybe in the same deal that we have with the discussion and the rationale, apply that to those entries, so that the council can determine the urgency or whatever of what is necessary to move forward.
So, okay, so I'm appreciating all the work that went into this chart. And at the same time, I'm wondering if it's going to be overwhelming to the committee to have the multiple columns, or if it's, if we should be working with the list and trying to hone that down, trying to sort that, and then we put a sorted version into this format. You know what I mean?
Either way is fine. I think, they're going to get a list and they're going to be overwhelmed by the list too.
Yeah.
So whether the format needs to change, that's fine. I don't have any. I'm not invested in this list.
I mean, I think it's very useful to see it in this way, because it's eventually what we would, some sort of version of what we'd want to put out at the end.
Well, this is what we suggested, that, and I saw this as being one step towards that final report.
Mm-hmm.
But if we need to go in a different direction, I don't care.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, if we have a list that has 50 things on it, maybe we need to look at the list and say, all right, how many of this rise to the level of the charter?
Mhm.
And we come forward and say, here's the ones we think we really need to talk about. And then we create this chart with those.
All right, I was talking on mute, but I think we go with the spreadsheet, and the first thing we do at the meeting is go line by line and count it in 3 categories, right? So can it be in the charter? Is it a charter review committee, or is it some outside of the charter? And just color code these, go all the way to the end, be done with it, and then basically just replicate the tabs and just delete things from each of the tabs, and there you've got your things, because we're going to want rationales and discussions for each of the decisions about why we did whatever we did, no matter what. I think it's just a case of, line 1, 2, 3. If it is whatever it is that it done. Line 2, same thing. Just go through it. We'll reduce our size of things as a group. We will create the different pools of entries, and then we can go through and fill it out or whatever.
Do we need, okay. I like that idea. Thinking of that other pot, that's not the charter review committee pot, not the needs a new charter commission pot, but this other pot, this third one. Kind of a catch-all. You didn't say that, but it sounds like a catch-all.
Yeah, pretty much.
The rules, things that are like,
Yeah,
that value things.
I mean, it's sounding like there's three categories, right?
Yeah.
There may be 4, right? Maybe we have one that's rules, and then maybe we have a complete catch-all. But from what I read, there's really just 3 categories here.
Well, what I heard at our last full meeting was I had 5 categories. There's things that are the level of rules, things that might be handled through a bylaw. Then there's charter level, and within that, there's things that the council decides. There's things that you need to request legislation, and there's things that would require a charter commission.
but I think the requesting legislation, yeah, so maybe we do the five things, and that's fine. I mean, I just think we need to gun through this, delineate the values, duplicate the tabs, and create the pools of data that we've got, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, we could also, I mean, this is sort of what we were suggesting that Collins Center could do. That they could look through the what basically and say, this is a rules, this is not a charter level thing. This could be done through rules or bylaw. This is something that, the council could affirmatively decide and change. And then there's things that they could say, yeah, we want that, but we need permission from the state or from a charter commission.
I'm totally behind that idea of getting Collins involved. I'm personally out of my element here.
Yeah.
So I think we should call in the experts on this.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where they can go through and they can say, well, actually, the thing you said required a commission doesn't. Punt it over to the other side or go to somewhere else. But yeah.
Yeah, let's see. I'm just trying to find the list that we had before. We have something called, yeah, here we go. Where are you guys? I mean, is this the same things, Bernie, that's in your, each of these bullets is one line in the Excel document, right?
I'm sorry, there's a phone call I had to take. And,
Oh, okay.
So I'm missing, yes, this is the list that the spreadsheet was built off of.
Yeah. So
again, knocking the duplicates out.
Yeah.
And an item gets listed the first time it comes up.
Yeah.
So there's some stuff in Article 2 that really can also influence Article 5.
Right, like this, the roll call requirement language, 2.12 and 5.5C. Yeah.
Right, but I left it in Article 2 for discussion debate.
Okay.
So this could go to Collins.
But we could also send them the first column of yours, which has them all sort of on an equal footing and not, under particular categories, right?
Well, no, they're categorized.
Okay.
I mean, it's the spreadsheet's divided up by section of the charter. So we could send them that's the basic list that all the stuff got built off.
Yeah.
Both the ChatGTP stuff, and because I fed ChatGTP a copy of our charter, and I fed it copies of the list of suggestions, and I did not give it a copy of the spreadsheet. I was working off of. I tried to be consistent about using the original documents when I.
Yeah. And you have and this has all of the, well, I guess it's not all of them are referring to particular sections. So,
right. Yeah, where ChatGTP did go back and tag sections in there. And I frankly was just too tired that night to plug them in. But we do have that sheet. Sections it might relate to. But I really think I think at some point this is going to have to get winnowed down. I think the 3 buckets that Marcus suggested, or the 5 buckets, either one is fine. Using Marcus's 3, we can postpone discussion as to whether it's a bylaw, it's a rule.
Yeah.
It's thought. Yeah. It can all just go in one bucket and then it gets sorted out later.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, so one bucket is sort of below the level of a charter or of council action
Mhm.
on the charter. And then one is sort of above the level of council action on the charter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. So we just have really the three to start with,
Yeah.
and we explore that third more in a more detailed discussion. Yeah.
Um, so how are we going to get that?
Well, I have a projector that I can bring to wherever we are, and somebody can project the screen up, and then we can sort it out.
I'm just
Well, we
wondering if we should be doing that before the meeting so that we can.
Oh, no. I don't think so. I think we need everybody to agree on it, or else we're going to get in trouble.
Or do we ask the Collins Center to give us their opinion about each one of them?
We could do that, but we could also send out the spreadsheet and say, "Hey, these are three areas. Go ahead prior to the meeting. Do this individually, and then come to the meeting with your answers, and we will do it. We'll
We'll
do
see
it
how many
live."
people. Yeah, it's like a 1, a 2, or a 3, and see how many 2s we get on each one.
Yeah.
And what's the definition of a majority vote?
Well, no, I mean, that's
rules.
well, that actually appears in the charter.
No, I
So
know.
yeah, that would be a charter thing because it's actually the language is actually there. So
But
that
No, I
would
just meant a majority vote of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. I mean, I like that. The spreadsheet, right now the discussion is some of it is your opinion, Bernie, and some of it is saying what the charter says, and
We
then
can clear that out.
just
you
go
want.
with the spreadsheet with like with just
well,
the items
look at. I mean, looking down through this, I mean,
Just a quick one. Sorry, Bernie. Line 55. Is that a direct quote? Oh no, not line 55. Line 56.
Yeah, we could probably pull that one out.
Yeah, no, that's a direct quote.
Okay, then it stays. Yeah.
Like I said, I just removed the duplicates. I didn't edit anything
Yeah,
else.
no, that's perfect. No, that's perfect. I'm just.
Nobody else said that.
So, but above it, consider having manager appoint planning board and ZBA. If we went by chapter 43, that's what the manager would do that. But we have a home rule petition that says the council does.
Yeah. No, I like the addition of the discussion. I mean, we just need to be clear that that's points added for now, but will be updated as we move through it and are not the final thing, so we don't get people nitpicking the description before they do it. It's like, yeah, okay, but that's just to give you an idea about what's going on. Our important thing is whether it's a 1, 2, or a 3 or a 4. I mean, 1, 2, or a 3. And just leave it.
I mean, some of this stuff though, it's provide the town council with the power to hire its own legal counsel or analyst. And then the comment is council has access to town attorney. And apparently my guess is that this question comes out of a lack of trust of the town attorney.
Well, Darcy raised this, and she maintains that town council represents only the manager, which is absolutely wrong. Town council represents the town. You may have to have, like I did when I was running towns, you had way to access council, and that was usually through the manager. So you didn't have, the 490 people randomly calling KP Law.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is the council can now hire if it wants to hire an analyst, it can do it, but it has to get that through the budget process.
All right, well,
But yeah, whether or not the council can have employees, I mean, I think we need to talk to HR about that. And does that make sense?
so we
know-
have, I'm just looking at the number of lines here. We have 173 lines minus a few title ones, but say there's 150 suggestions here. How are we gonna boil that down?
Well, that's what I mean. Just throw it out there, add an extra column saying category, and just tell them 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that was my understanding of what we were gonna do.
Mhm.
So give everybody the 150 lines, and
Yep.
we go through them and
Yep.
say who had ones on this, who had twos on this, who had threes on this.
Or just
Mhm.
get a quick thing around the room, like what category, 1, 2, or 3. And
Yeah.
if it was different, then we just figure out which is the best fit and go. I'm hoping most of them, reasonably, there's a majority on each, and that's really done. In the recording copy of this, we could potentially say, in another column, 3 1s, 2 2s, and a 4 or something.
Mhm.
Just to kind of
Yeah.
give people the realization of what went on, and then we just duplicate the sheets and filter by the final value, and you're done.
What about things that are just sort of opinions, like this is idiotic? Is that a 1, a 2, or 3?
That's a 3.
So it's a 3.
Yeah. That is not in the charter, not charter review committee, and it could be a rule, because you could have a rule that says this is idiotic.
So your 3 is below the level of the charter.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a catch-all. Yeah, let's bring all the 3s down, and then we can spend some time going through them, aligning them, like you said, to the original 5 idea. Because it could be a bylaw, could be a rule, could just be supernumerary. So
the appointment process, there's a council policy on making appointments, so kind of neither of those 3 things.
Right. Well, if there's a council policy, then and they don't need the charter to guide them, then it's below the level of the charter,
yeah.
right?
Well, the fact that they're appointed by the charter, by the council is in the charter, but the way in which the council decides to make those appointments is in the council policy.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't think yeah. So I guess I don't want to hang on that one too much, because it's mostly just an opinion, blowing off steam. But there are other comments that are non-duplicate that are making suggestions that
Improve the charter review process to prevent foot dragging. So yes.
Yeah.
That's obviously a 1. I'm just going down through this, and I'm noticing that in column 1, at least, there are a couple that need to have the auto fit row height done. What I was thinking is that we give people a spreadsheet with what, where, and then their vote.
Yeah. Oh no, I would like to include the discussion and rationale.
Discussion. Okay.
Yeah, because you've got some good points in here, and like OML requirements that helps me realize it's just meh, whatever, you know, and just things like that. I'm totally fine with that. And then your height thing, all you need to do is just double click on the lines and it will
Mhm.
sort
Yeah,
itself.
I was just going down through, make sure that that's, I thought I had done that before I sent this along, but who knows?
And it's also, yeah, anyway, whatever. Pardon me. There is a difference in the font as well. So if we want to go through and make the font right,
Well, that's
drive
That's
some of
easy.
us up the wall, but yeah.
easily enough done.
But I mean, there's certain things like just say it plainly. The council manager form of government centers power on the town council.
That is a call to changing the form of council, which is the need for a new charter commission.
I think there's something in the charter actually that says something about that the council, has the primary responsibility for the governing of the town, and they hire a manager to execute that, on the day-to-day basis.
That's the general law.
Yeah. So.
That's chapter 43.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about powers and duties, the powers and duties of the charter of the council and the manager are what's in the general laws, save the council reserved for itself, or the council has the right to appoint the ZBA and the planning board.
Mm-hmm.
That's giving people that overview of where the charter differs from the general law might be helpful to, as well in this case, because they get some notion of what every other town in the state does, every other city in the state. I was surprised that even Boston adheres to big chunks of chapter 43.
I mean, there's things like, do the town manager and town staff pay, this is line 85, do the town manager and town staff pay attention to committee recommendations? Parentheses, some committees feel they're not listened to, but are asked to rubber stamp what the town's already decided. What are we to do with that? Are they?
Well, do we include in the charter that the town manager must indicate that they have paid attention to every subcommittee or committee? I mean, that would be, to me, to my mind, that goes in the bucket 3.
Yeah, I sure as certain things don't listen to Bernie all the time. So, yeah.
All right, we need to get this numbering thing straight, because I thought number 1 was below the level of the charter, but it sounds like you guys are saying 3 is below the level and 1 is above the level. Is that right?
Whichever you choose.
Whatever you want to do. Yeah. I mean, just a 1, 2, 3 system. The categories are, it's something we can stick in the charter, something we need a new charter commission for, and then something, I won't use that finger, something that
it could be handled at a lower level.
Yeah, it's lower level stuff. Yeah.
Or another level. I mean, it could be a bylaw, it could be a policy, it could be the rules and procedures.
It could just be something. Yeah.
Yeah. It could be a nice thought.
Okay. Bylaw, policy, rules, or values, but not practice.
Looking at some of develop a general outreach protocol for public input.
That's exactly one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, develop a digital platform for civic practices and
Uh-huh.
engagement. Allow for electronic signatures. That's a state, that we either have to, we either have to get the legislature to exempt us or get the legislature to define it because they haven't. You know,
Well, soon enough, we won't be allowed to use voting machines anyway. So,
mhm.
This one here, line 89, Bernie, are you looking at it? I can,
Let me see here. I got it here on a big screen.
I can,
Line 89.
is that a comment that should be in a different column?
Um,
Contradictory docs are either public
Either
records
public
or
records or
not. Is that
not.
referring to the thing above? Require applications, receipts.
Yes, that should actually go in that should actually go in the
Yeah, I thought it was a response to
should
something.
go in column D and
Yeah, okay. All right. So do you feel like we can give this list basically, I mean, clean it up, take one more read through and make sure everything's in the right column or whatever? But do we think we can suggest that we have this, that here's a process that we think might expedite things in our enable us to get through the list
yeah.
in our meeting, and that we look to initially sort these things into 3 buckets, and then we can talk about in more detail if we have time then or going forward about the details of bucket 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
Andy, can I ask you to clarify? You're asking the full committee to weigh in on whether something is required by state law or belongs in the charter or doesn't?
I think we are looking to get everybody to look at this list and say there is a certain sweet spot that we're dealing with that is things that the council that rise to the level of the charter, the constitution of the town, and that the council can vote to change. And then anything else is either a lower level that doesn't belong in the charter, or it's a higher level in that it would require state action or a charter commission action. And so what we're looking to do is to sort those into those 3 buckets.
It seems that that question needs a little bit of expertise, and I wonder if the Collins Center can help the committee
well,
decide
that could all
rather than just opinion.
that could be a first step or it could be a second step. Because we could take all of these, all the things that people have agreed, a majority of the committee agrees could go into the charter. We can then submit that list to the Collins Center and submit that list to the town attorney.
I see
But
what you're saying.
the other option is that we could submit the list to the Collins Center before we meet and get their opinion and ask them to sort things. And then we go through it as a committee together and see how much we agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it would behoove us to send a copy of this to Collins with what we are suggesting. I would like to see how our summary of the things matches what they think too. But it's more, Athena, just for us to be able to continue our discussions in the not outreach session, sorry, in the offsite. And so we can group and focus more so than this is exactly what's going to happen. It's just helping us focus the discussion. And then if Collins or KP comes back with something different, then we can, move things around. It's not a big deal. It's just so that we're not looking at 170 odd inputs and freaking out about it,
Right. I understand now.
Yeah, no.
You're asking the full committee to weigh in on legal stuff.
No, no, it's not meant to be a be all and end all categorization at all.
Well, I mean, yeah, I can envision it either way, right? You send the 170 things to the Collins Center and they sort it, or we do it ourselves, or we do it and then we send it to them.
I'm just trying to think of ways that we can best utilize their time, given
Right. It engages the committee in the full list rather than us just sort of short circuiting it and sending it to the Collins Center first. And the Collins Center would have less, but it could make our day quite a bit longer. That's the only thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So it sounds like you're honing the list to things that the committee wants to consider.
And wants to pass along. I think the thing is, we don't want to lose anything out of this whole list. Just because something isn't potentially in the charter or a charter commission thing, we don't want to lose it. We can say that residents are looking for these improvements outside of the charter, and just here's the rationale, here's the discussion on it, have at it. So
but the things that they can actually act upon are grouped accordingly, so they can consider those first.
Right, it would improve the efficiency on their end too.
Do you have further reservations, Athena, on this process, or thoughts about it?
No, I was just concerned that you were looking for the full committee to weigh in on whether something could be changed in the charter or if it required a commission or not. And it was like, that seems like a futile effort because we might get it wrong.
Right.
So just looking for efficiency in your conversation of the full list and the Collins Center time or KP Law time weighing in on these things. And I think a lot of these things are going to be, either the Collins Center or KP Law going, well, it's not usually in the charter, but you could, because that's the case with a lot of these. You can get real into the weeds or not. So the Collins Center is probably going to tell you something like, well, it's not usually in there, but you could, and here are some cities and towns that do it that way. Or we don't know any of any cities and towns that do it that way. And then you still have to make a decision whether you want to consider that change or not. So
either way, we have sort of a back and forth.
So that was why my inclination was like the committee, the full committee needs to winnow it down before we ask somebody else to decide what can be changed in what way, since you're going to save it all anyhow.
Okay, so that's sort of the direction we were discussing anyway.
So then you're asking KP Law or the Collins Center to go, of these 50 things now, how many of them can we recommend changing via the charter review process, and how many need special legislation, and which ones are unlikely to make sense to do it that way?
And when we ask KP Law and or Collins, we should condition that request with don't be nice about this. If there's something here that we could put into the charter, but it really doesn't make sense, it doesn't have utility, then tell us that. I mean, we could write all of this stuff into the charter and then have the Attorney General and the legislative legal staff kick it out and be angry with us, or say there goes Amherst making life difficult again, and include it all.
Okay, so something like all council meetings live streamed and recorded, that's below the level of a charter, because technology.
But that's state law, yeah. So I mean, that would be below the level of charter, just because it's going to state law, right? I mean, we're currently remote because the state allows it.
And the state is considering changes to the open meeting law that will permanently allow boards and committees to meet fully virtually, or they were considering requiring hybrid meetings for a while. So it's an odd timing to be asking, putting something different into the charter. And there's also, limitations on what we can really reasonably do. If every board and committee wanted to meet in a hybrid way, then we'd need enough meeting rooms and technology to do that. And right now we have one.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with, having everybody who's at the meeting remotely be seen.
Hmm.
The audience, yeah.
Then that ain't gonna happen because of the technology. I mean, maybe at some point it will, but not right now.
Yeah, that's come up a bunch of times since we started meeting virtually, and other cities and towns do meetings rather than webinars. And when you do a meeting, everyone is in the room and you can see everybody. And Northampton has had a bunch of Zoom bombings that way because people will unmute themselves and put stuff up on the screen and do all kinds of things. So this, to us, to me and the folks in IT, this is the most efficient way of seeing who's at the table having a conversation and who's in the audience.
I mean, you've had it in Amos too, right? I mean, ECAT got Zoom bound years ago.
Well, I forget which meeting I was at. Municipal meeting I was at that got Zoom bombed. And I've had a group of photography group that I belong to got Zoom bombed, and it's very unpleasant.
Yeah.
It just basically wrecks everything for the evening, and that's it, So,
But even then, I mean, the demand to see everybody, right? Even on those meetings, in a meeting, you don't actually have to have your camera on, for one, and you don't actually have to have a name. Like, I am right now Marcus Smith, you are Andy Churchill, whatever. I could put a name of whatever the hell I want it to be, and it's not reflective of who I am. And an in-person meeting, I don't have to sign up. I don't have to do anything to attend that meeting. Nobody needs to know who I am.
And
So
you can
why
come
is it
in and
any
out
different?
as you please
Yeah.
without announcing your presence.
Why is it any different in a virtual meeting than in a physical meeting? And it shouldn't be. So if I want to be a loner and sit at the back, I can be a loner and sit at the back. So
Okay. So we're gonna go with this. How do we each want to look through it and see if there's anything we want to add, or any rationales, or any additional fleshing out of it, or just checking for typos or whatever. When's our next meeting? We're meeting
Thursday.
Is it this Thursday?
Mhm.
Okay.
are we meeting this Thursday?
That's what
We
I
met
thought.
last Thursday.
You look
I
puzzled.
think it's next Thursday. Maybe.
Next Thursday.
No, I thought it all got.
It's the last Thursday of the month because it wrecks the social engagement I have. That's what that's how I remember things now.
Calendar.
My social life is so thin that whenever a meeting comes up,
I don't have it listed here, so I'm not sure when it is.
okay. I thought at the last meeting it was mentioned that we would be meeting once more before we go to our day-long session.
Yes, but that could be next. That could be the 4th.
Okay.
I sent a message to Julie because I missed the last committee meeting. I full committee meeting. I messaged Julian about an hour ago, asking when the next meeting was, just to get it from the source.
Okay.
You guys.
You haven't got a
Andy,
response yet.
Andy, do you want to collect comments?
Yeah.
Because I have a couple I'll be making on this, but it would be best if we had one person collect them all. And
Yeah. Why don't you send them to me, and I'll put it together.
Okay.
And share it with you before I send, and I'll try to draft what we talked about as far as a voting structure for our meeting.
Okay.
Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah.
And Athena, feel free to to send comments from your informed perspective if you like. It may be not in a shape that you want to go through right now, but at some point, whenever it works for you, I'd like to hear what you think.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah,
The full committee met last Thursday, so the next one on that I have is the 4th.
Okay,
Okay.
that Rex is social thing that I made. So Bernie,
Okay.
you're off the hook.
Oh, okay, good. That means I can keep my commitment, social commitment. All right, hooray. Athena, if your comments are certainly welcome and valuable. If you start running into time constraints, maybe just flag which of these what's would be you see as problematic because the council has debated it, or there's some concern, or there's some current conflict, so that we can be aware of that. Because, like, for myself in my simplistic mind, full town council, all right, what does the open meeting law require? And it's now I've now learned that it's beyond that.
There are quite a number of them that have some kind of history and baggage.
Okay, well, you're the you're like it or no, you've been cast in the role of historian here.
I mean, we've heard from one counselor in detail, but I don't know that I don't know whether that's that's a commonly shared perspective or if it's an outlier perspective. So it'd be good to hear another perspective. But
I also found it interesting that an honest comment about not filling out the questionnaire, that she would prefer to have an interview.
Which is what you suggested in the first place.
Yeah, but we can't trust each other to report honestly, I guess.
We need a charter review committee.
Well, we'll make it more transparent. Yeah.
Transparency subcommittee. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have any? So people are going to look this over, send comments to me. I will draft something to suggest to the full committee. We have a little bit of time because we're not meeting until next Thursday, so I'll send it back to you guys, and hopefully, like by the end of the week, we can get this sort of ready to go.
Sure.
Does that work for people?
And then did you set your next meeting date?
We
No.
did not, but it'll be after our next meeting, I think, right?
Yeah, you want to do the week after the next meeting?
I mean, we're meeting on the 4th, it looks like, and then we have our full meeting on the 6th. So I guess the week after that.
Yeah, so like the 9th. We do.
The 9th works for me. I don't know.
Let me see.
We do like 4:30.
I won't be here for that.
You will not.
I will not.
Are you out the whole week?
No, just that day.
How about Monday or Wednesday or Thursday?
I am unfortunately.
You were trying for Tuesday because that's the one day that you're available.
It's actually, hang on a second. Where am I? Oh, WPI. No, yeah, Tuesday. Damn it. So I guess you get to choose between Ken or I. We find out who is the most popular choice. Yeah.
Should we try early the next week?
I'm abstaining.
Should we try Monday the 15th or?
Yeah, that sounds good. Oh no, shit. I could do later.
There's a council meeting on Monday the 15th.
All right.
So you could meet before 6:30. If you ended by
I
6:30.
will be in Orange. Well, I don't have to. I can cancel it, but
How about Tuesday the 16th?
I will be. Oh, I'll just be in Chicopee.
Sounds good to me.
You're giving this is your Gateway Cities tour or something like that?
I'm umpiring field hockey. I got to do a college game on that Tuesday, the 16th, but it's one, it's only Elms. Two,
Oh,
it's in Chicopee. So I mean, if we met at like 4, we could do that.
On
I mean,
the
I would have
16th.
to leave like 5:30-ish, probably.
That's about the length of our meetings anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Can you do it 4 o'clock, or is that too?
4 o'clock works for me.
Sweet.
For
On the 6th.
the 16th.
Yeah.
Does that be you, Athena?
Yeah.
4 o'clock on the 15th,
16th.
16th. All right.
October? No, September.
Bernie, we have finance committee is on the calendar for the 16th, but I'm not sure that we'll need it. So
At what time?
Well,
2 to 4.
I mean, I'm the lamest of ducks on that one.
But we could do the feedback committee at 4:30, so you have a chance to stretch in between if you need.
Does that work for people?
4 would be preferable, so I can actually attend most of the meeting.
Ah,
I mean, I could take the most of a decent amount of meeting on the road anyway, too. So
Bernie, can you do 4?
Sure.
thank you.
Okay, it's going to be a municipal marathon.
Yeah, this is what Zoom has enabled me to do. Literally go from one meeting to another that I wouldn't ordinarily make.
Welcome, welcome to my life. Yeah.
When I was working, it was like I did 7 hours of Zoom meetings today. It was terrible.
Welcome to my world, Andy.
Yeah.
I was during the pandemic when I was doing some consulting. I was referring to myself as a zombie.
Yeah.
Because that was. I actually had people say to me, God, no, if you can't drive up here and talk to me, let's use the phone. So.
Okay, so next meeting, 4 p.m. September 16th, Tuesday. And in the meantime, we'll get this
Send stuff to you.
go to the whole committee.
Mm-hmm.
So send me your thoughts, and I'll pull it together by Friday, and we'll see where we're at. I'll send it back to you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. See you
Super.
guys.
Thank you.
I guess we're no other business, right? At this point.
No.
Oh.
Okay. Well, all in favor of adjourning?
Yes.
Aye. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Athena. Thank you for your opinions, especially. It's very helpful.
Yep. Thank you, Athena.
Thank you.
Take
Bye.
care.